Blues Hockey is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center. In, up, fixed, out. Dobbs does it all. Get great offers on most 2014 and 2015 Chevy models. Find new roads at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. A reminder from Budweiser. Designated driver and enjoy the great times. It is the second and final regular season meeting between the St. Louis Blues and Ottawa Senators. And tonight's Dobbs starting goaltenders, Brian Elliott, the former Senator, has won 3 of his last 4. That 1.90 goals against average is second best in the league. Robin Lehner played against the Blues on Saturday and lost 3-2, stopping 30 of 33. Alex Pietrangelo coming off another 2-assist game in Winnipeg. You might look for some offense from him, and you know that Karlsson is always thinking offense on the back end for the Sens. Blues Hockey is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. It is Berglund, Steen, and TJ Oshie for the Blues. Kyle Turris, MacArthur, and Alex Chiasson up front here for Ottawa. And right off the face-off, the Blues fire it down the ice, and we get the whistle.
Well, in the last game in Winnipeg, Alex Pietrangelo gave Alexander Steen a phenomenal pass as well. About an 80-foot bomb right on the tape, and Pietrangelo's really played some terrific hockey the last 2 games with 4 assists, 2 multi-point games in a row for Pietrangelo, and there he tries Alexander Steen right off the hop to begin this game.
And the face-off controlled by Chiasson. And then spun around by MacArthur. Back for Karlsson, who had a goal against the Blues on the weekend. Now Chiasson again, the former Dallas Star. Someone's lost a stick. That's Jackman, comes in front, knocked away by Elliott. And the Blues march to center ice. Steen stood up by Karlsson.
That's a good gap closure there by Karlsson. He did not let Steen get away from his sights.
As the Senators, they like to play what Hitchcock calls a big step-up game. They're always in your face. And now Bobby Ryan, the former Duck. Ryan down low. And now for Mark Borowiecki. Tarasenko back to get it for the Blues. Handed on to Gunnarsson. On defense was Shattenkirk. Now tipped ahead by Laterra. And then out of midair by Tarasenko. But it's called back on an offside.
You talk about the press-up game that the Ottawa Senators employ. Paul McLean has done a better job of getting this team as a one-man unit. But we take our time now for our Toyota keys to the game. And you've got to prepare for a physical battle. John, you and I have talked an awful lot about how chippy these games have been, the last 3 of them. And you've got to layer pucks behind Ottawa's D. I think the last few games we've seen a little slow feet there from big Jared Cowan, their former first-round pick. Greiba's a physical player, but you can certainly take advantage of their lack of foot speed and layer them in deep.
And the Blues are the rested team. They, of course, played Sunday afternoon. The Sens had to play last night in Detroit and lost 4-3, their second consecutive loss. Here is Jared Cowan up the middle, picked up by Paul Stastny. Now for Lindstrom. Joachim Lindstrom on with Stastny and Backes. And it comes around now again for Cowan. And he'll play one to center ice, handled by Chris Butler, who makes his home debut in a Blues uniform, the native St. Louisan.
Yeah, and a good play by Butler just to buy some time, because the forwards, all 3 forwards led by Paul Stastny, were going for a line change.
And then Cowan surrounded by 2 Blues, Laterra and Schwartz. And then kept in by Tarasenko. Now it's blocked and cleared to center by Eric Condra, who's back in the lineup today for Ottawa.
Yeah, well, with the penalty kill not going so hot for Ottawa, Condra is very, very good on the PK. The former St. Louis Bandit.
And a former teammate of Ian Cole at Notre Dame is Condra. And Schwartz trying to twist into the zone. Stood up by Eric Greiba. And here comes Greiba back in. And that's off a blue stick. It hit Jackman. And it comes around. Now back for Wierkosh. His shot, and that went wide through a screen. That was close. And then Karlsson fell down. And now Steve on in a race. 3-on-2 here. Ott to the back. And looks in front. Finds Pietrangelo. In on goal. Shot. And knocked out of midair by Tarasenko. And covered. I'm not sure if that would have counted. But Darren, that's the 3rd time in as many games that he has knocked a puck right out of midair.
Great hand-eye coordination, but it is a direct result from the fine young Swede, Erik Karlsson, trying to keep the puck in on the right side. He actually collided with the linesman right here and doesn't keep it in. He blows a tire on the way back. because he's slow getting back into his own zone. That results in the odd man break. And again, Pietrangelo with the shot. And the rebound bounces off of Lapierre up in the air. And there's the hand-eye coordination of Tarasenko. Just flutters on it. Doesn't get it all. Much like the situation in Winnipeg there, where he had a good chunk of it, but just not enough to knock it in the net.
And of course, scored a goal out of midair on a rebound attempt in Montreal in that loss. Blues have the only shot so far. Here comes the rookie Mike Hoffman. Now around to Smith and a little fluttering shot. That is blocked by Elliott. And now Steve Ott, whose dad is on hand tonight. You saw Butch Ott at practice this morning, who coached Steve as a kid.
Good to see Butch Ott in town, the Windsor native, alongside his wife Debbie. So I would imagine Steve Ott will be his normal feisty self. Boy, has he played well, throwing that 180-pound body around like he's 220 pounds the last couple of games.
He has been a force to be reckoned with. Now Berglund down low, a broken stick there. And that is from an Ottawa player. And the puck comes to center and shot back in. And now Borowiecki, who lost his stick, can head off on a line change.
And Borowiecki was a heavy hitter in the game 4 days ago in Ottawa. Blues have got to keep their head up when he's around.
And the Senators came in, and that's it, offside.
Well, you go back to the Saturday game right off the hop. There was a stick between the legs on Steen. MacArthur there trying to respond. Steen always plays a good physical game. There's Greiba's high hit there on Tarasenko. Backus had had enough at that point. PRV involved. I think Zach Smith has really played his most effective hockey anyway, or we've seen it against the Blues. He's always in the middle of things, so you got to keep your head up when he's around.
Senators average about 12 minutes a night. Darren, a year ago, they had the most minors in the entire league and surrendered the second most shots per game. So under Paul McLean, they play a feisty brand, but Darren, you can't be in the box all night.
Well, no, you definitely cannot be. I mean, when you look at their penalty kill, it's not bad at 82.5%, but that's not something that you want to go to battle with every night. You want these young, skilled players on the power play, not killing penalties.
Now the Blues work the puck into the zone. Callan tips it around, kept in by Cole. And now for Stastny, who had an empty net goal Sunday in Winnipeg. He was upended in the corner, and the loose puck is grabbed by Legwand. Now for former first-rounder Jared Cowan. Elliott goes to play this one. Up high on the glass, comes down, kept in by Carlson, and a tip attempt by Legwand off the back of the goal. And then now in front, a backhand wrapped by Legwand. Elliott got a piece of that, and Backus the other way for the Blues. And Backus late on his shift. Saucers one to the corner.
Legwand's playing in his 998th NHL game tonight.
That would be too shy of 1,000. As the Sens come in, and a shot by Chason, and he had his stick lifted, and the Blues with Shattenkirk to center ice. Now for Tarasenko. Great move. And a pass in front to Schwartz, and that was picked off at the last second. Carlson trying to lead Turris, but out of his range, and Gunnarsson back in his own zone. Now Shattenkirk deals it on to Laterra. Tarasenko, his pass blocked. Now Tarasenko gets in there and is spun around a bit, and he goes off on a line change. Weirkosh to center ice for Hoffman. And the rookie shot hit Pietrangelo right in the shin pad. Now it comes near the goal, now in front, and swept away by Ott. And now picked up by Steve Ott. Here come the Blues. Up and down pace here. In for Pietrangelo. His shot from an angle blocked by Leonard. And now snared by Weirkosh. And
he's hurt.
Yeah, Ott got a piece of him.
Yeah, his left hand, right hand, excuse me, didn't put it back on the stick after that hit from Ott, and Ott continues his feisty ways here.
Senators are already missing their captain, Chris Phillips, as this goes down the ice. Of course, Jay Bouwmeester unable to go again tonight with that lower body injury. But Hitchcock said this morning it's not considered serious. Of course, his consecutive game streak ended the other night at 7:37. Now Steen on the forecheck. Gets some help from Oshie, and then Butler to hold it in. Number 2 is Cowan, back of the goal for the second-year man, Cody Ceci.
Chris Butler admitted that after the first 3 or 4 minutes, he really got his legs underneath and played a real calm game, played a real smart game in that game against Winnipeg.
Now Oshie, he'll pry it free, back for Butler. Good fake shot. And then Steen hooks one on for Oshie. Someone's lost a stick again. And a shot. Rebound, Cole! Hit the goalpost on the near side. At an open side. And the Senators play it up the boards. And the puck played to center by Greening. Now in for Stone. Stone does a 360 spinorama. And then tapped in deep by Gryba. And now Laguan, number 17 there for the Senators. That was hooked away by Berglund.
That looked like that play that Yager had at the tail end of that New Jersey game, didn't it? A little pull up there, spinorama, go to the opposite side, knowing your guy's going to be down there. Just was a little off the mark.
Yep. A move that Denny Savard, your former teammate in Chicago, perfected. And now Joachim Lindstrom. And he's held up at a penalty called against Wierkosh. Probably interference here. And that will be the call on Patrick Wierkosh. And the Blues in this scoreless game will go to the power play.
Blues go on the first power play of the game. Wierkosh, who on that earlier shift had taken that good hit there from Steve Ott. The puck is clearly ahead of Lindstrom at this point, and Wierkosh has got to release at that particular point and let him go and get his space. But when you look at the largest power play percentage in wins and losses, how about St. Louis in wins? That is unbelievable. 32.1% versus 5.3% in losses, John.
Well, that means it would behoove the Blues to score a power play goal here. They were 0 for 4 in Ottawa.
That's the entertainment we're looking for when you use words like behoove.
And only 2 for their last 13 against the Sens. Blues win the face-off. Steen, Tarasenko, now Shattenkirk right in. Wide open net, they score! Schwartz on a brilliant passing play.
Let's focus on this net front presence. Jori Lehtera is on the doorstep.
There's no goal in the play. We have incidental contact with 12 Blue running into the goaltender. No goal, no penalty.
Incidental contact. No goal, no penalty. And we'll focus in on the very front of the net as we see a pinpoint passing play right there. Lehtera is way out of the way, and he is clearly not in the crease. Lehner's clearly out challenging over top of the crease. Facing the shooter at that point, it's Pietrangelo, so he's on top of it. Yes, you still have to avoid contact with the goaltender at all costs, John. You still do. But in that particular play, Lehtera is looking at Shattenkirk. He's not in the blue paint, minding his own business, just skating in a straight line.
But he did make contact with the goaltender.
He did.
But no penalty here. So the power play continues. Tarasenko lost it. And now played back for Steen.
Another reason for discussion, isn't it? About video review on goaltender interference. I had a very good talk with Blues GM Doug Armstrong about that. And I know it's probably a mixed bag, but in our conversation, he thought that it would greatly benefit the league to have video review, to make it as good as you can get it.
And a shot by MacArthur is...
But I'm going to just reiterate again, and I think a lot of people forget about this. The rule still does state, so unless they change the rule, you have to do everything in your power to avoid contact with the goaltender. Even if he's in or out of the crease, it doesn't matter.
Now the Blues get the puck back to Shattenkirk. 50 seconds left in the power play. And then Pietrangelo to Shattenkirk again. And a backhand feed almost picked off. Now it is. And then drilled down the ice by Ceci. And Elliott sets it up for Pietrangelo. Blues were 2 for 5 the other day in Winnipeg. And have the third best power play in the league. As Cole drifts in. For Pietrangelo now to Backes, who leads the club with 5 power play goals. And around to Cole. Cole a drive. Tipped wide by Oshie. And the Senators played on to center ice now for Condra. 1-on-1 against Cole. Former teammate at Notre Dame, a shot. And the rebound is knocked in by a whistle. And now both teams have had a goal called back.
That puck was behind Elliott. The referee thought it was covered, so he prematurely put the old whistle to the lips, John Kelly, and blew her down. So Condra, who is put back into the lineup largely because of his prowess on the PK, fires it. It's fluttering. It's behind him, but you can clearly hear the whistle go, and a frustrated Condra. The shot goes off the blade, fluttering, knuckler, off the cheater of the glove, in the glove, through the legs, behind the legs. Holy jumping.
So that's a break. That should have been a goal.
Let's call it a 1-1 game.
It's a 1-1 or 0-0. And held in by Langlois. Steered away by Elliott. Ottawa's back at full strength. So the Blues 0 for 1, no shots on the initial power play. And the puck is dumped in. Steen now for Shattenkirk. And then for Joachim Lindstrom. And that is broken up at center ice as Berglund became involved with Stone. Well, the holidays are right around the corner. 3- and 5-game Blues holiday packs go on sale now. 3-game packs start at $99. Buy a 5-game pack in select locations, you get a free Tarasenko blanket for every 2 seats purchased. Buy your holiday pack before December 5th and get the December 8th game against Florida for free. For more information, go to stlouisblues.com or call 622-BLUE. And that blanket, Darren, is the added bonus in that package.
That's called free. And what's free's for me.
Free is always good. Now Pietrangelo and a wrister. That's a delayed offside. Blues need to tag up with 9:40 left here in the first period. Blues have been outshot 5-2. No score. Now Pietrangelo. Oh, quickly ahead for Ott. Now on to Reeves. Had the game winner the other night. Reeves a drive and a save by Leonard. Big rebound out near the line. And now Zach Smith into the zone to Hoffman. Fires a shot and a good save there on Mike Hoffman by Brian Elliott. And we get some pushing back of the goal. Lapierre's in there. And that is Smith involved with Lapierre. The Blues had one called back, and this is ruled no goal.
Well, you wouldn't expect the way that these two teams play against one another. There's no history. There's no playoff competition. But you look at the way Zach Smith certainly has played. He's thrown around his 6'2", 210 pounds. We showed you the chippiness just a few moments ago in the last game in Ottawa. Last year was the same thing. Zach Smith had a hit that the Blues certainly deemed late on Alexander Steen that caused Steen to miss action. And so right away Reeves knows the number and makes sure he finishes his check, and Lapierre jumps in as well. I think the fourth line, John, are really feeling as confident as they have felt maybe in the last year even.
Here's a stretch pass for Tarasenko off the mark, and we get the icing call. And speaking of big hits, Borowiecki had a couple the other day. And Darren, maybe he learned how to hit when he attended the Pang Olsen hockey camp a few years ago, hosted by you.
I had to apologize to him this morning. I said, I'm sorry, I don't remember. He goes, well, I was just a young kid. And I said to him, I didn't teach you how to hit like that, did I? Did I? He's an Ottawa native, and Borowiecki is he's a plumber back there, boy. He can hit, throws his body around, likes that part of the game.
You taught him well, Darren.
It was a good hockey school, John. It was a good hockey school. We tried to bring it to the young people.
And why wouldn't it be? And a shot by Pietrangelo sails high and wide. And now it is Ryan on for Smith into the blue zone. Here's Jackman for Laterra, and then poked along by Schwartz. Shot 6-3 Ottawa. No score. That's knocked away by Elliott's pad to the line. Hoffman a shot nowhere near the goal. And now Barrett Jackman. And he moves the puck ahead. Jackman now third all-time in games played in Blues history with 745 under his belt as he passes the great Brett Hull tonight. Only Federico and Sutter have played more in a Blues uniform. Fox Sports Midwest and Bommarito Automotive Group present the Missouri High School Football Championships. 2 days of live coverage start Friday. Get the full schedule and channel numbers at foxsportsmidwest.com. Watch the Show Me Bowl on Fox Sports Midwest Plus. Should be a lot of great games in the coming days. Now Backes in the slot. That was blocked. And Colin Greening. That was punched away by Butler and then played from Butler's hand to a teammate, so we get a whistle.
Well, there's Wayne Gretzky in town with his family, his wife Janet from the St. Louis area. They have purchased and completed a home in the area, and he always looks forward to coming back here and spending a little bit of time. And it's always good to see him, to talk to him. He has such experiences. Victor Tikhonov passing away. He's got experiences with Tikhonov. Obviously, his relationship with Pat Quinn. And he just loves to be around the game, too. Loves to be around the game.
Does he ever? I saw an interview he did the other night with Hockey Night Canada, and he said he really misses coaching. He said he loved coaching when he was down in Phoenix. As Stastny comes in, and that's up into the midsection. And Darren, I know you know Wayne very well. You ever see him behind the bench again or involved with an NHL club down the road?
Well, I see him being involved in an NHL club as we take a look at our dirt cheap snapshot of the game. And there's Felix Gadd on the left with Gretz and the great Gordie Howe. And, you talked about coaching. I was there with Wayne Gretzky for the 4 years. And he took it very personal. He took it very seriously. As Ken Hitchcock one time was watching the Coyotes play while Ken was in Columbus, and he said, "You tell Gretz that 2-1-2 press-up game is outstanding." So I went into the Coyotes room and I said, "Gretz," I said, "Ken Hitchcock loves your 2-1-2 press-up game." He says, "2-1-2 press-up game? That's what you call it?" Because one thing about Wayne, he didn't have all these fancy sayings for things. He's 2 men in, the second guy supports, the third guy high. Kind of old school way of saying it. But as we well know, because we enjoy listening to Hitch, he had all kinds of sayings, and he still does.
Now Condra for the Senators. Delayed water shot. That was blocked by the stick of Shattenkirk. And he goes for a skate up the far side. Under 7 to play here in the opening period. Now that's gloved down by Oshie. He works in for the shot. Trying to go on the stick side, and Leonard got a piece of that one. And then chase on for the Sens. And a high hoister back to center ice. And that's settled by Pietrangelo. And up the ice intended for Schwartz. That is broken up by Cowan. And then Ceci back of the goal. And his first ever goal last year against the Blues in overtime. On a chase on. And then snapped in by MacArthur. And down to the Jackman corner. Jackman on for Laterra. And at center ice, MacArthur gets it back for Ottawa into Turris. And Turris back to the goal. Broken up by Pietrangelo. And Vladdy Tarasenko. Nice little flip pass on to Jackman. Now for Schwartz. He delays and a shot. And that was partially blocked. And Turris again. Little move at center ice. He lost the puck to Pietrangelo.
Yeah, good work by Tarasenko coming back there. Making sure he didn't get caught up in a little toe drag maneuver by Kyle Turris. Former first rounder of Wayne Gretzky's Phoenix Coyotes, 3rd overall.
I was going to say, he played for Wayne down in the desert, right, Darren?
Played a lot for Wayne.
Here's Cole, a drive. Tip, they score! Ian Cole! It was tipped. Leonard wants it reviewed.
It's a knuckler. Regardless, the 4th line continues to contribute offensively. Ryan Reeves finds the point man Cole. It hits the stick first and flutters. And it looked like it might have gone off Carlson. Lapierre is there as well. Lapierre came first to the bench in high five, and it tells me that he might have touched it. No, Lapierre doesn't touch this at all. It hit Carlson before Lapierre. Never touches Lapierre from that point. So that's going to be Ian Cole's goal as they take a look at it.
And speaking of goals called back, Darren, he had one earlier this year that was called back. This should be a goal, his first of the year at 14:23, and his first goal in 30 games, and the Blues lead 1-0. As Butler chips it in, Leonard will catch this one, and no further play. So we've had some strange pucks go in the net tonight. 3 have gone in and 1 is counted.
Well, you can tell the confidence, too, of Ryan Reeves because he made a great pass, pinpoint pass there to Ian Cole to make it a 1-0 game. Well, the offensive-minded Erik Karlsson in front of the net gets a little stymied by this slap shot that's rolling, bobbling, bouncing, and obviously goes off his right shoulder, right forearm before going in the net. As you can see there, it hits him in the forearm, doesn't hit Lapierre and past the goaltender. Lapierre puts himself in a good position, though, on the original screen. His left skate just dragging through the blue paint there before that puck enters the net.
And the reason he shot the puck so wildly, as you saw there in the replay, the puck was rolling. So that was a break, as it was going to go well wide. But it hits Karlsson and caroms in. His first of the year from Reeves and Lapierre at 14:23. And now the puck tipped down the ice by Chris Neal. And then handled by Shattenkirk. That comes around. Condor there. He'll lob it back of the cage. Gunnarsson under some duress there from Chris Neal. And now he slows it down. Here is Shattenkirk for Gunnarsson. Gunnarsson tonight playing in his 15th game. And Darren, his game has gotten better every week since returning.
No question. He plays bigger than what he is. He shoots the puck harder than what he looks like in practice. He passes the puck firm.
And a drive by Stone and a pad save there by Elliott. Puck in front. Another shot. Elliott got down and made the pad save again. Now the rookie Curtis Lazar for Karlsson, a drive. Blocked by Backus. Paid the price, and he'll limp off.
Well, that caught him in the side of the body. Left side there for the captain.
And Ottawa enters the zone again. Joachim Lindstrom back defensively. He gets it out. Now handled by Stone. And the rookie, his 6th round pick in 2010, blasted in. Steen back to center ice. And now Borowiecki. Up the middle, here is Stone. He gets into the zone. Stone a pass to MacArthur, and it rolled off his blade at the last second. And now Stone trying to go back to the line. Good defensive work by Steen.
Yep. Stone did a lot well on that shift, but if you're going to get it back to the point, you got to get beyond the winger.
Now Steen in front, Tarasenko. The puck rolled on him as he was wide open. And Ian Cole to hold it in for the moment. Snapped ahead by Borowiecki. And now Tarasenko plays it back in his own zone. And Butler has to scamper back now for Cole with 3.5 to play here in the first period. Ian Cole has the only goal, coming at 14:23. And now MacArthur, number 16. That's chipped away by Schwartz. And then played off the glass by Wierkosh down the ice, and a race. Turris there, but Shattenkirk had better speed. Now Shattenkirk for Oshie. 2 Senators surround him, and it trickles back for Gunnarsson. And here's Gunnarsson as he waits for his teammates to change and complete the change. Tipped out a play by Oshie right at center ice.
Well, when you look at technique in blocking shots, there's a lot of the players now, they try to stay on their skates. For David Backus, who got that cut-up lip because of the high stick from Dustin Byfuglien in the last game in Winnipeg. This one here, this is a classic 2-pad slide right here. And you can see the way he turns, he catches it on between the elbow and the side of the body, maybe right in the old rib area for the captain. He's put on his work boots the last few, hasn't he, John? It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, Hicks said he's been playing his hunting game very well.
It's fun to watch for us as a guy gets battered and bruised out there, but we've gotten used to watching him do it.
Now a shot by Jackman on the ice. Lapierre trying to tip it. Here's Bobby Ryan. He's balled by Ryan Reeves. The puck to center, and then drilled back in by Pietrangelo. And Reeves will chop the puck, and that does roll to center ice. Who's 4th line? They've been doing the job again tonight. Now Pietrangelo, he'll drift in. And a wrist shot, blocker saved by Leonard. And it goes to the corner. And Pietrangelo trying to work it away. Knocked to center ice by Smith. He is jolted by Jackman. And then a skirmish. Smith and Jackman there.
Yeah, this isn't going to end well here. Jackman and Smith are going to go. Oh, man!
The linesman, Darren Gibbs, stepped right between the two.
With the history between, Zach Smith and the Blues in just the 3 games, so it doesn't seem like a large canvas to work with. But Smith, when Jackman came across the ice, cutting that ice in half and making a good play, not allowing Zach Smith to even get to center ice, Zach Smith did lean down on him and gave him a little noogie in the back of the head. And here's the Ott hit before that as Reeves and Ott go at it with Zach Smith. And then as Zach Smith is trying to get out of the zone, Jackman had come in and already stopped him. And there you see that forearm there, the shove there from Smith on Jackman. Jackman then's got the stick in the chest, and they both clearly want to go. I mean, this isn't like one guy doesn't, one guy does, and the linesman has to jump in there.
And they get matching minors. And they have gone to the respective locker rooms with 1:55 left. So we go 4-on-4. Roughing minors to Smith and Jackman. Tarasenko up front with Laterra. Now played on for Jori Laterra. He'll hook one back for Tarasenko. Can't get by MacArthur. And now Tarasenko got back and stole the puck. And now Laterra trying to work down the boards. No room there. And the swift skating Karlsson back behind his own goal. And here he comes, Karlsson. 16 points on the year. Tops on the Ottawa club. Turning Shattenkirk, long pass, picked off. Karlsson with it, a drive and a stick save by Elliott. And it goes out of play.
Well, that's Karlsson all the way right there. He's got a player behind him, but he's gonna hold the line, take that chance, make the read. Otherwise, Tarasenko's got a clear-cut breakaway. And now on this shot, it's a smart shot. He's actually looking for Kyle Turris. It's a low shot. It's got to get underneath the player, right to Turris, except Turris doesn't get his stick on it. And Brian Elliott's able to redirect that up into the netting. Stoppage of play, face off to his right.
As we continue 4-on-4, Blues win the face-off. And it's played back for Jaden Schwartz. And now ahead for Steen. Return feed, that hit Ryan. And a delayed offside with a minute to go in the first period. And Cowan's pass, now for Ceci. Return feed to Cowan. He comes in looking for the shot, but can't take it. And then Cole knocks it away. Frangelo up the boards for Steen. And away from the puck now for Schwartz. Got a goal called back earlier. Schwartz for Steen. He's bumped from behind, and then a hit on Steen. Was that Cowan or the rookie Lazar? I think Cowan's the one that knocked him down.
Yeah, he and Lazar were right there.
Well, Ceci back to center with 15 left here in the period.
One guy to watch, Hoffman. We saw that in Ottawa, John. Number 68 on Ottawa. Boy, can he skate.
Now the Blues get some room here at center. Backus comes in, and a shot. That was juggled a bit by Leonard, and the Senators head the other way. And a pass to Wierkosh, and the horn sounds to end the opening period.
Well, after 20 minutes of play, we'll take a look at our Plaza Tire service shot comparison for tonight's game. We're going to take the goal scorer, Ian Cole. A couple of missed shots, 3 total, and 1 goal in this game. And the veteran David Legwand, 2 games shy of 1,000 with 3 total attempts.
Let's go to Joel and Bernie.
J.K. Panger, thank you very much. We'll start to break this one down here. And Bernie, you said very important to score first in this one.
Yeah, they had to do it twice, too, to get the goal to count. But this is really a grinding game. We knew that the Ottawa Senators are a desperate hockey club. They've lost the last couple of games, really, in regulation for the first time this year. So they are hungry right now. So a good first period of play, and it's always important to get the first goal. And it's always nice when you see the fourth line score again. And, of course, this is Ian Cole's first of the year. So good work so far, but 40 to go.
We'll talk more about Ian Cole, plus the physical play to end that period, and the goal that Bernie mentioned that ended up not happening. That and much more coming up on the Save Paul GM Country Intermission Report. Stay with us.
The Blues looking for their 10th win of the month here in November, leading the Sens 1-0 after 1. Blues hockey is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. Still 4-on-4 to begin the second period. Blues win the faceoff. They won 70% of the draws in the opening period. Now Jackman out of the box. along with Smith, who are back at full strength. And the goal scorer, Ian Cole, tried to reverse that. Now Berglund comes along for Pietrangelo. And then back to Berglund up the boards. Oshie tips it, but the play was just offside.
Well, there's been a lot of terrific players in St. Louis Blues history, and very few have gotten off to a better start than Jori Lehtera through the first 20 games. Now, we're only going back 95, 96, but there's Paul Kariya with 22 points in his first 20. Wayne Gretzky, who's in the building here tonight, watching this contest with 21. That was through 18 games. And there's Jori Lehtera, 20 points. Solid all-round game. Clearly they were a little out of gas, John, in the last game in Winnipeg, and that would be expected. They've basically put this team on their back offensively and carried the squad through the first 20.
At least somebody from that line has at least a point in 11 of the last 12 games. This is rolled in behind the Blues goal. And the former Senator draft choice Brian Elliott puts it high on the glass and over the glass. And we'll get a face-off in the Blues zone.
Well, Brian Elliott's a testament to perseverance and dedication to the game to get to this point. Being a 9th-round pick, wasn't quite good enough to play Major Junior A in Ontario. Waited it out, played a couple of years at Tier 2 before landing a scholarship to the University of Wisconsin. And he battles his way through 4 years at Wisconsin and wins himself a national championship, beating Corey Schneider. And that just begins the ride too, John, doesn't it? I mean, we still have a long way to go to minors, to the NHL.
To get the #1 job?
Absolutely. I think that's why he endears himself to his teammates so much. There's a great appreciation from where he is, and he doesn't let a day slip where he doesn't work the hardest.
And a shot in the slot by Greening blocked. Another chance. Let go by Stone. That was off a leg. And now the puck in front. Moved along by Cole. And now for Schwartz. And he motors in. Schwartz a shot. And that is caught by Robin Lehner. And we get a whistle.
Well, if there's any rebound, certainly it's a four guys on the offensive line, John, driving hard to the net. There's center lane drive, which is the defenseman Ian Cole. Lehtera is there behind him as well. And I believe this shot was intended to be lower for a rebound off the pad. The guys on the bench here to my right were yelling for one of the players to fall back because Ian Cole was up there as well, right at the crease by the time that shot was taken.
And now the Senators come in late one. And a penalty called here, I think, on the Blues. And that will be a holding minor.
Looks like Paul Stastny is going to go off for a holding call. Blues with
St. Louis minor penalty, 26, holding.
a line change and coming back into the defensive zone. The veteran St. Louis native, Paul Stastny, gets called for holding. You can see 17 there as Stastny's reaching out. He takes one hand off his stick, leans in there with his left hand and just grabs the shoulder of the veteran David Legwand.
So Ottawa to the power play for the first time. Blues win the faceoff. Backus gets it and ripped down the ice by Pietrangelo. And again, the Blues should have a big faceoff advantage tonight. They're fourth in the league. Ottawa does not have a player on their roster over 50% in the circle all year.
Well, the one guy to watch on the power play is Kyle Turris. He's got a wicked wrist shot, and he scored one last night in Detroit.
Now leg one to the corner for number 7 Turris. His pass blocked by Jackman, and that played around and kept in by Carlson. Ottawa was 2 for 4 against the Blues in the Blues victory on the weekend. And that's dumped all the way down by Pietrangelo. 45 gone on the power play. And here comes Carlson. He'll leave it for Turris. Gains the line. Good stick there by Ott. And that's off his stick to center ice. And then Carlson again. Drops one to the corner. Shattenkirk quickly back. Pass back of the goal for Gunnarsson. Spins off a check for Lapierre. But he is bothered from behind by Ryan. And now Shattenkirk to the corner. And there is a long dump all the way down the ice. And Leonard will settle it back in his own zone.
No support for the Ottawa Senators there on that power play. I mean, no support whatsoever. The Blues did a great job of getting 2 men in on the one Senator player.
Now Stone to the corner. A couple of players jam up back of the goal. Shattenkirk up the wall. Smith there for Ottawa. Now Shattenkirk gets it again. Ryan has lost his stick. Shattenkirk read that well, went right back at Ryan, and he shoots it off the boards. Hit all the way down.
Good patience, and you could probably hear it through my mic, John. That was Alex Pietrangelo on the bench. Terrific communication and letting the guys know on the ice.
And 5 to go in the power play. Tipped in deep by Stone. Pietrangelo hounded from behind by Smith. Senators get it back to the line. Hoffman is on the point of drive. That's blocked. And the Blues back at full strength. And that puck was tipped out of play, so no delay of game.
Yep, every one of the officials signaled the same thing right there. All watching where the puck is there on that shot right there. Rebound. Bobby Ryan, the right-hander who's been so successful against the Blues in his career. And there's the puck out of play there.
And the fans acknowledge Barrett Jackman's milestone game tonight.
That's a nice reaction there. It's a lot of games. A lot of games that Barrett Jackman has played here as a member of the St. Louis Blues. Third all-time in the history of the St. Louis Blues, and only the Hall of Famer Bernie Federko and his wingman Brian Sutter are ahead of Barrett Jackman now.
So after this year, he should be number 2 all-time behind number 24.
And he's done it the hard way, hasn't he? I mean, being a defenseman, getting the role and the assignment, especially in those mid-years of going up against the other team's best, blocking shots, playing hurt, doing all the little things. That's what makes Barrett Jackman's career here in St. Louis pretty special.
And such a fantastic leader as Barrett Jackman. Now Tarasenko for Laterra. He comes in, Laterra for Schwartz to the net, and he goes into the net. The puck does not. And we get a whistle.
You know, the one thing about Robin Lehner, and we saw that in the game in Ottawa where behind the net, Alexander Steen was going. And remember that one hit? Lehner actually clipped his knee on it, but he wasn't afraid to get in the way. He goes 230 pounds. He thinks he's a middle linebacker on the ice. On the left side of your screen is Schwartz, and he's going towards the blue paint. Chris Neil is kind of pushing him there. We'll keep our eye on Neil. Neil goes stick on stick to eliminate that pass. By that time, the right blocker and the right side of the body of Lehner collides there with Schwartz.
Lehner has won 4 games this year. In all 4 victories, he's faced at least 35 shots. So he likes a lot of work. He's 4-0 when facing 35 or more shots this year. As the Blues, Berglund trips up MacArthur, and now Berglund away for the Blues. One-on-one here. He comes in for Oshie. Tip to Steen. And Lehner got a stick over to break it up. And MacArthur back the other way to Karlsson. He flies in. Karlsson waits. Then a shot off the target. Hit the boards and all the way back down the ice. And now Cowan is chased by Oshie. That was tipped by Berglund, kept in by the Blues. And Steen. Nice pass to Butler. And his feet across. So Berglund was open, but it was just knocked away at the last second. And the Senators head to center ice. And now we get the offside. Or is it a penalty? Yes, a penalty has been called. And a holding minor. It's on Legwand.
No, back-to-back holding calls.
Holding.
And Steen right in front of me eliminates David Legwand. And then Legwand reaches out right after that and grabs a hold of Alexander Steen.
So the Blues go to the power play for the second time. They did not get a shot. Got a goal called back on their first power play.
Yeah, and Steen and Shattenkirk man the points here. And when this power play is clicking, it all starts from the work on the point man, allowing this STL line room down low.
And the Senators win a face-off, and it's hammered down the ice by Eric Greiva, a former teammate of Shattenkirk at Boston University.
The BU Tigers with Jackie Paca.
Now the Blues come in. Shattenkirk back for Tarasenko. Pretty good imitation of the Boston accent from an Ottawa.
Yeah, except they're Terriers.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Thank you, bud.
Now Tarasenko back to the line. Shattenkirk. That was blocked. Tarasenko. And that was blocked as well. A broken stick there. And the Blues keep it in.
Yeah, Smith fanned on it.
Kept in by Pietrangelo. I think that Shattenkirk stick.
Yeah, they got to get that
Out
twig
high.
out of the way.
Now the Blues to Tarasenko. And his drive. And he missed the goal. And off the boards. And back to the Blues line. As both clubs make changes here with a minute to go in the power play. Pietrangelo on to Backes. Slows down to make a play. Stastny in front. Down low for Oshie. And then Backes, he'll chip one back to the point. Now Pietrangelo on his off point, and it rolled away from him. And now picked up by Condra. And he lost the puck. Oshie gets it back for the Blues. As the Blues try to get something going on this power play. Now Pietrangelo right up the gut. He'll leave it for Cole. He has scored the only goal tonight back in the first period. Now Backes charges back of the goal. He is pinned by Cowan. And then a push from behind by Ian Cole. And that forces the puck loose. But it's centered, but Cole was in there deep, so no one's on the right point.
Nope, and that's the look of frustration there and surprise, really, by TJ Oshie.
And now Berglund with the Senators back. And oh, look out, late one into the box, and a pass to him, and he would have been gone in alone, but it was between his legs, and he never got the pass.
All Greening had to do was just lay it out in front. He could skate into it.
And now Berglund up the board for Reeves. And Reeves to center ice. Slowed up by Greening. Now Wierkosh for Karlsson. Here he comes. Karlsson drops it off to Turris. Pass across, and a great pass, and Greening just fumbled the pass. He was wide open. And Lindstrom in for the Blues. He is belted down by Wierkosh. Now it's Karlsson. And his pocket picked by Ryan Reeves.
And Colin Greening has to be sharper than that. I mean, that was right on his tape, John. Right on the tape, and he's in the scoring area.
Yeah, he's a left-handed shot and is wide open.
Couple of good breaks there for the Blues.
Now Pietrangelo for Jackman. Nice pass into Laterra. Trying to go to the slot. That was intercepted, intended for Tarasenko. And the captain Karlsson late on his shift. And a long floater to center ice. That is dusted off by Pietrangelo, now to Jackman. Tipped along by Laterra.
Jackman made two really strong outlet passes.
Oh, Schwartz with a good forecheck there. Senators with it. Lazar trying to clear it away. Now the rookie goes back behind the goal. Lost it. Schwartz in front. Here's Ian Cole. Fires it. Rebound loose. And played back to center ice.
It went off the skate. Otherwise, Cole was moving to his right. It goes off the skate and goes right through the gut.
And now Cole has it again. To his partner, Chris Butler. That's tipped along by Steen, but Karlsson recovers. And then Wierkosh a pass. Right up the middle now for Mike Hoffman. He comes in, a drive. Save, Elliott. Rebound in front. Knocked back of the goal. It pinballs around now, grabbed by Lapierre with 11 to go here in the second. Ott can't control it. Puck tipped to center ice. The Blues have to clear the zone. And they tag up, and now play continues. Shots in this period, 3-2 for the Senators, and they've outshot the Blues 12-10. Drop pass here. And a drive by Borowiecki, and that was blocked. I don't know if it got on goal or not.
No, it did not. Hit the pants just before that. He had a little bit of room down low, John. Low to the stick side where he could have fired it, but he got it up way too high. He didn't learn the shooting drill from the Pang Olsen Hockey Clinic as a kid.
Here's a shot by Neal. That was blocked. And then Legwand works the corner for the Senators against Gunnarsson. And it trickles back to the cage, played by Butler. Hitchcock said this morning he really liked Butler's game, especially in the last couple of periods after he got the butterflies out of his stomach. And that was understandable, his first game of the year with the Blues.
Yeah, I mean, you can't replicate that speed in the AHL.
And a drive by Turris and a save by Elliott. Got the glove up, and now Turris involved in the corner. I believe that's David Backes.
Yes, it is.
And then all 10 skaters involved.
After Turris ripped this little wrister, little stick work there, and nothing much going on. David Backes, though, a burr in his saddle a little bit right there, and David Backes went right over Kyle Turris. This is a continuation of the previous 2 games that the Senators and the Blues have played against one another.
Yeah, these teams don't like each other, Darren. Maybe they're unhappy that you're now with the St. Louis Blues.
The Boeing Company and the St. Louis Blues are proud to salute tonight's USO Service Member of the Game, Gunner's Mate Second Class Jordan Govero. Gunner's Mate Govero has been in the service for over 10 years, serving in many capacities, including his current position as a small arms marksmanship instructor. He's been deployed 3 times to Afghanistan and now currently serves with the Coastal Riverine Squadron in Weldon Springs. Thank you, Gunner's Mate Second Class Jordan Govero, for all you do to protect and serve our country.
And we add our congratulations to service member Govero. That is Turris in the box along with Backus, roughing Miners. So again, we go 4-on-4. The only goal tonight by Ian Cole at 14:23 of the first period. Both teams had a goal called back in the opening period. As Jackman gets it in, and Leonard bobbles that a bit and now hangs on, and then Wierkoch and Steen get the sticks up.
Yeah, Wierkoch, as we were saluting Second Class USO Jordan Govero, Wierkoch and Ryan Reeves were having words. Wierkoch's been one of the more physical guys as well on this young Ottawa Senators blue line between Borowiecki, Gryba, Wierkoch, and Cowan. It can be a pretty physical group.
For the Senators, as far as games played, and remember, they don't have Phillips. They are the least experienced club as far as games played in the NHL.
Yeah, I watched Mark Mathot skate today, and he looks like he's very close to being ready.
And a shot by Jackman off the target. Up front, Steen and Schwartz. Now Pietrangelo on for Jaden Schwartz. He's the one who had the goal called back in the opening period. And here he comes right up the middle. Gets by one man. And now down low. Leaves it for Steen. Trying to find some open ice. And he takes the scenic route and went all the way to center ice and then back in with Schwartz trapped in there offside. Exactly 9 to play in the second. Well, voting for the 2015 NHL All-Star Game is going on now. And you can send Tarasenko, Steen, Backus, Oshie, Pietrangelo, Elliott, or your favorite Blues to the game. Vote up to 10 times a day. Go to stlouisblues.com and start voting now. Here's a pass in front for Jason. Drops it. Shot by Cowan well off the mark. And then back to Cody Ceci. Ceci trying to tip one to the corner. Hoffman with it, a drive, and Elliott got his stick on that. Still 4-on-4 here. And then Tarasenko pokes it back into the blue zone. Tarasenko one shot on goal in that opening period. And then Laterra drops it off for Shattenkirk with 35 to go in the matching minors. Shattenkirk to center ice. Here is Tarasenko, and he spun down. Lazar got a piece, and maybe a tripping penalty here. And Tarasenko is back on his skates. Blues up 1-0 here in the second period.
A power play to get up 2-0. What are some of the keys to start this power play?
Well, we got to shoot the puck. We got 3 shots on goal. We're playing on the move and we're playing with fire. So we got to start playing more in straight lines and stopping on puck. We're a little bit loose right now, and we're kind of fortunate it's only 1-0.
Thanks, Hitch.
Yeah, 3 shots in this period as Lazar goes to the box for tripping, and the Blues get a 4-on-3 power play for 28 seconds. Hitch sends out 3 forwards. Stastny, Steen, and Oshie with Shattenkirk out high. Puck shot around. Oshie has lost his stick and trying to kick one to the corner. That was broken up and played to center by Gryba.
Yeah, as he was trying to kick the puck, the players on the bench were handing him his stick.
He has a new twig. Now it comes into Steen. Right entrance. He scores! Alexander Steen!
Four on 3, lots of room, and the Blues are able to get that puck right back into the zone. Steen starts it off in the neutral zone, and then he gets himself on the right side, beating the big Swede Leonard on the glove side. There's Steen with a reverse play over to Shattenkirk. Another reverse play to Stastny, who finds Steen wide open on the right-hand side. And before the defenseman can go down, you see Borowiecki trying to go down there. Does it glance off his stick? I don't think so. Just a wicked wrister. From this angle, yeah, a lot of time and space there for Steen, and he doesn't actually go high under the bar. He goes mid-area there, and he beats Leonard to the glove.
But Darren, he will beat a lot of goalies from that spot with his shot.
Oh, at time and space, that kind of shot, he's got a wicked wrist shot. There's no denying that.
So the Blues a power play goal at 12:05. And it's 2-0.
Now the defenseman, Borowiecki's got to be aware of the backdoor play, which he doesn't want his goalie exposed to that, so he gives the goalie the shot.
Now Cowan comes in a drive, blocked, rebound, and shot wide by Lazar. And now the teams are back at full strength as Backes has returned. What a pass by Paul Stastny to Steen, who buries it. Shattenkirk gets the second assist.
Assisted by Stastny and Shattenkirk.
And the Blues lead 2-0. Here come the Senators in. MacArthur with it. Cuts in front, a shot, and that goes just wide. That was close. Ends up in the corner, grabbed by Jackman for Schwartz. And he lost the handle at center ice. And now Berglund comes in on a delayed offside, and now we get the whistle.
Well, time now for our Mazda drive to the net, but there's a couple of options when this does happen as we let this go right now. A terrific entry into the zone. Shattenkirk takes it to make a play, and then as he passes it across, we'll stop it here for a second. It's either the shot or the pass right there. So you've got to respect the pass with Oshie's stick on the ice, which would be a neat little redirection, or the shot. And it's a clean shot, clean look, and cleanly beats the goaltender.
Blues now with 7 power play goals in their last 8 games, and they take a 2-0 lead.
Well, Alexander Steen plays the game with his head up at all times, so he's got a lot of options. So here, you can see that he sees the stick right there, or is he going to shoot the puck? He's trying to buy a little bit of time, get the goaltender thinking pass, and maybe leaning. He knows he's shooting that puck the whole way.
And off the face-off, Berglund to the corner for Steen. His stick was held a bit by fellow Swede Karlsson. Comes to center ice and jammed back in by Gunnarsson. Not dressed tonight for the Blues, Chris Porter and Magnus Pajärvi. As Neal drops one to the corner. Shattenkirk for Lapierre. Out of the reach of Tarasenko. He'll get there first, so no icing. And worked around by Leonard. Now for Karlsson. Can that kid skate? Into the zone, Smith. Now to Neal, running on goal. And Elliott makes a save.
It's loose.
Neal jams away. It's in.
Oh, another whistle.
I heard the whistle. I have not seen a red light. And now we have a skirmish.
And Butler's got Condra. The goaltender, Brian Elliott, is still down on his back. And Ray Barouli, the trainer's got to hop onto the ice right in front of us right now, John.
Yeah, he's in some difficulty.
Yeah, and you see Cole's got a hold of Smith.
There was quite the skirmish right in that goal crease.
Well, the Blues end up backing up because of the fact that Karlsson has the puck gain in the zone. And we heard the whistle. We heard the whistle go before Butler takes in Condra, or Condra's going that way and Butler's there. But certainly the contact with the goaltender as he's reaching for the puck. A lot of times in that situation, it's hard to tell if it's a knee ends up hitting you in the head, a knee, an elbow, but the goalie's only focused on the puck. So he's not looking at what's coming up, so you can't defend because you're only looking at where the puck is.
And thankfully, Brian Elliott appears to be okay.
And there's the shot by Neal, the save. Now you see Condra there, so Butler's trying to protect that. The puck squirts to the right, so Condra's leaning in. Looks like well, if anything, we can tell that there's nothing on the head, but you can see his right knee gets tangled up with Butler and with Condra. Now, we heard the whistle go. It appeared as if it was before the puck entered the net. That would be the second time in this game against the Ottawa Senators. And then there's Smith at the side, jamming Steen into the net as well.
In addition, Darren, as you know, they could also rule that the referee had intent to blow the whistle.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if this is a goal. Now, the puck did end up in the net.
yes, so it's still obviously a reviewable situation, one of the criteria. And that is puck crossing the goal line.
And the play is under review.
Well, this looks like a quick conversation.
We've got no goal on the ice. There's incidental contact with the goaltender. No goal.
So that's the third goal called back tonight.
You know, so McLean's trying to explain. I'm just going to speculate. He's saying, well, Butler pushes Condra into him. Condra, though, was actually starting towards the crease, looking for that puck on his right skate. So he's in the vicinity, and clearly, you know, Butler does, you know, accentuate that motion by giving him a little push. But I'm not thinking that Brian Elliott's going to continue here.
Yeah, he's had a long conversation with Ray Barilli, and he will head off.
Well, that was a lot that his right knee ended up taking, or right side of his body. The way that it was underneath him with all that weight going backwards. As we well know with goaltenders, you're relying on your knees with all your pushing, all your movements, all your ability to go down on the butterfly, to go laterally. You can't play with a wonky body when you're in the twine.
And you saw what Elliott did as he went off. Darren, you did not, but he threw his stick in frustration.
No question about it. I mean, there's 19 guys in the crease. Like, whatever happened to the blue crease being an area that you've got to respect a little bit? I mean, the whistle clearly went anyway, you know, as that puck was outside, and then it got jammed back in, but the whistle had gone.
So Jake Allen takes over, 6-2 on the year, and a 2.00 goals against average. The Blues are the only club with 2 goalies with at least 6 wins, and both goaltenders top 5 in goals against. That is quite the luxury to have. But a tough spot for Jake Allen, coming in cold. As Backes works the puck down the wing. Now Pietrangelo for Jackman. Trying to hit Paul Stastny. Back for Pietrangelo. And a shot, partially blocked. And he may have broken his stick. He goes off. Shattenkirk replaces him. Here he comes. Shattenkirk feeds it back to Jackman. And then to the captain again. He lets it go. Stastny centers it. Carlson there. And the Senators tip it on to center ice. Chase on. And good defensive work there by Jackman. And then thrown in behind the Blues goal. Here's Jackman on for Backes. He'll tip one in deep. Lapierre after it for the Blues. And he is wrapped up. That is Greiba defending for the Senators. And now Lapierre has lost his helmet. Ryan Reeves a big hit on Cowan. And now Lapierre goes after Cowan. Reeves having discussions with Greiba. And they throw the mitts down. Reeves and Greiba. This has been percolating for some time tonight. All right by Greiba. Now Reeves, couple of big rights. And he has staggered Greiba. Now he lost his helmet. And down he goes.
Well, Max Lapierre got in to the right of Robin Lehner in the corner, battling for a puck, and he and Greiba just going at it here. Greiba's hands, though, way up high there, draped around the neck of Max Lapierre, knocking the helmet off, giving him a little shove from behind right there. And then Greiba goes back this way. You see Lapierre just leans into him there, and that's where Ryan Reeves leans in. So Ryan Reeves, after hitting Jared Cowan, Lapierre leaves Gryba, and basically Gryba's saying to Ryan Reeves, I got no beef with you. I had my beef with Lapierre.
And Ryan said, I don't care.
Yeah, and Ryan Reeves said, no, that's my center iceman, and we're going right now. And Ryan Reeves got a couple of big ones. Couple of real big ones here. This crowd just exploded, didn't it, JK?
Yeah, that one uppercut really connected. That shot wide of Jake Allen. Now Cowan gets it. And then tip back of the goal. Fighting Majors to Gryba and Reeves. Chris Neal a shot. And that's off a body wide. And then 4 players battle for it to the left of Allen. With 4:14 to go in the second period. Now Steen trying to get it away. Steen and Cole have scored for the Blues. And Carl Gunnarsson feeds Oshie. Nice play around Smith. Moved along by Berglund. Drop pass to Steen. Steen chased to the corner by Smith. And it comes free now to Greening. And his feed to center ice. Off the target. At least the intended target. And now the Blues get it. Shattenkirk. He is hit hard by Smith behind the play. And now Cowan up the boards. Shattenkirk right back on Smith. He buries him, and now they go after Shattenkirk.
That's a good hit by Shattenkirk. He just stepped up there right on Smith and made a good hit.
And a penalty has been called here. I would think on the retaliation by the Ottawa player. Greening.
Greening is heading off.
Number 14, Ottawa. 2 minutes. Roughing.
Well, we've talked about Kevin Shattenkirk, the offensive-minded player, the guy that trained harder than ever this summer. But this play here, he was a little sour about the hit that Zach Smith gave him just a little bit earlier, zone away. And it's a bad retaliatory penalty there by Greening. The Ottawa Senators are trying to climb back into this game, trailing 2-0. And again, what makes this from Shattenkirk a surprising element is because he's a guy that always has the puck. He's not a close-the-gap physical guy. But that was a really good response there by Shattenkirk, knowing Zach Smith, who's been in the eye of the storm all night long, and he got him with a good hit.
Blues 1 for 3 tonight. As they operate on the power play. Back for Pietrangelo. Now played around to Cole, to Schwartz. Tip back to Pietrangelo, now for Tarasenko. They don't give him much room. Pietrangelo, the shot, and cut through, and a save by Leonard.
Now, Laterra was on the outside of that one looking in. You know, a lot of times you're trying to get on the inside. Cody Ceci, their young defenseman, had boxed him out pretty good. And then, obviously, you see on the left side of your screen is not much there as well. So this clean shot's an easy one for the goaltender to make. You're trying to time that, though, because there's pressure up high. The Ottawa Senators are doing more pressuring up high because the point men are so dangerous for the Blues. That should allow some open space down low.
Nice little angle from the GoPro down there. Blues win the faceoff. Comes back to Pietrangelo. And then Cole a shot, and he got a lot on that one.
That's
and a save by Leonard.
That's an excellent save with the right pad, right blocker.
Tarasenko brushes one back to the line for Cole. Tarasenko lets it go for Laterra. And now Schwartz in there. Gets it away in front. Tarasenko a shot, and that goes just wide.
Great pass by Schwartz. He's on his knees, and he still makes that play.
Now Tarasenko to Schwartz. And then Pietrangelo. Tarasenko's open. He gets it. Works in. Fires it up high. And that hit the glass. Trying to go high blocker.
Missed it by that much.
Schwartz for Cole. And then back to Pietrangelo. And he'll walk the line. And Cole a shot. Rebound. Tarasenko. Tough angle. And he shot it off the back of the goal. And then Schwartz again. Pass back. Tipped. Another drive by Cole. Puck close. Laterra behind the back. Intended for Tarasenko. Blues have had plenty of chances on this power play. 35 to go on it. Now Pietrangelo shooting one. And a blocker save by Leonard. And they battle away in the corner and finally taken out of there by MacArthur. And MacArthur now into Turris. His shot blocked at the Blues defense. Cole got a piece of that one. And the puck to center ice. Backes tips it on to Tarasenko. He's caught from behind. Now plays one to the corner for Oshie. Tarasenko to Backes in traffic, and that's knocked away with a good stick there by Ox Jason. And Allen up to play it ahead to Backus. Ottawa back at full strength. Blues at 5 shots on that power play. So we're back to full strength. Oshie trying to spin off Kondraschek. In front, Stastny, a drive right on goal. And a save by Leonard.
Leonard's made some real good saves the last few minutes here.
He's kept the Senators in the game here.
A couple of real good ones on 2 Cole one-timers. That one right there.
And Backus wins the battle in the corner. Now Stastny for Shattenkirk with a minute to go in the period. Shattenkirk unloads, and that was blocked in the deep slot by Curtis Lazar. And now it is Stastny across to Shattenkirk. Played to Oshie, dropped off to Gunnarsson. Here is Stastny, had a goal the other night and an assist in this one. And then fed up the wing now for Smith. That pass picked off by the Blues. Jackman ahead. And now Joachim Lindstrom back to Barrett Jackman. Shots in this period, 10-7 for the Blues. Here's Pietrangelo going wide, and a shot. And that goes wide of the net. Comes around 2-on-1 for Ottawa. And here they come with Hoffman. In front, a drive by Bobby Ryan. Missed everything from 10 feet away.
That's a heck of a pass by Hoffman. Just to get that to his backhand and smoothly fire that over to his left.
And how did Ryan miss from there? Now Jackman ahead. Tipped along by Berglund. And time will run out, and a hit at the end by Greening on Backus.
Now let me put on my shock face. A skirmish after the whistle. It has been non-stop between these two teams. Non-stop. Entertaining game. The Blues have a chance to make it a 3-0 game late in the second with that power play. But Ian Cole has had a heck of a game. He and Pietrangelo worked that around real nicely on the point on the power play. 7 total attempts in this game. Only 2 for the great offensive-minded defenseman Erik Karlsson.
Cole and Steen have scored for the Blues. 2-0 St. Louis. Let's go across to Joel.
Thank you, J.K. Second time that these two teams have met in the last 4 days. Safe to say, Bernie Federko living up to what we expected?
You would think this would be a Central Division battle. This is a team from the East and a team from the West that you don't normally see, but it's been very feisty out there. For whatever reason, these two teams don't like each other, and it's good hockey, though. You know what? Leonard, as the guys just said, has really kept the Ottawa Senators in this game right now. It's only a 2-shot game right now. The Blues, a big power play goal, but boy, that was a scary play right at the end there. 2-on-1 that Bobby Ryan could have made this a 2-1 game. So far so good, though, but I think we got a lot of feistiness left in that third period.
Yeah, put the seatbelt on because we've got 20 minutes left of what should be a lot of excitement and physical hockey. We'll break down a very wild second period with Bernie Federko coming up.
We have played 2 here at Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, and the Blues lead by 2. John Kelly in the broadcast booth. My partner Darren Pang downstairs between the benches. And Darren, once again, this fourth line of the Blues has been quite impactful in this game.
Well, they have been. I mean, we obviously talked about the fight with Ryan Reeves, but even before that, Ryan Reeves was the one that made the pass to Ian Cole on the first goal of the game. But as we said before, they're starting to feel good about themselves. I thought Steve Ott, in the last 2 games prior to this one, too, laid it out on the line. I mean, physical, tenacious, kind of picking up everybody. On the bench, chirping a lot, emotional. And then you've got Ryan Reeves and Lapierre really contributing. 17 hits, chipping in goals, getting the trust of everyone. Ken Hitchcock says you can't say fourth line. You know, there could be a third line. I mean, it's hard putting numbers on lines because in certain moments, one line can be better than another particular line. That's the way it works.
Teams are at full strength here. The Senators center it, and that goes through the goal crease area. Blues win leading after 2, 9-0. Ottawa are trailing 2, 5-1. And this is Kyle Turris in front of MacArthur, and a sliding play by Jackman to break it up. And then Pietrangelo tips one into the corner.
Could be a minor penalty coming up here. Clark MacArthur is going to go off for holding. That's been 3 holding minors.
Ottawa minor penalty, 7 white holding.
And this is Kyle Turris. It's not MacArthur. The referee in front of me looked like he was pointing towards MacArthur. But the look of Paul McLean, the former Blue, kind of says it all as Turris is just trying to get around Oshie and gets As Oshie down on one knee, just trying to get beyond him. They call it a holding call. But boy, it shows you a little bit too, John, about the lack of confidence that MacArthur has right now. I mean, that's a play last year where he gets that in that area, he snaps it. But he waited too long, and Barrett Jackman made a great defending, sliding play.
The Blues 1 for 4 tonight. Terrace toss, so Schwartz will take it against Smith. As the STL line is on the ice up front, Steen and Shattenkirk on defense. And the Blues control the draw, but not for long. Lobbed down the ice by Condra. And Steen back to get it for the Blues. Almost coughed it up. Now ahead for Schwartz. Played on to Tarasenko. And he lost that puck at his skates, and it's flown high the other way by Cowan. And then Vladdy Tarasenko moves it along for Steen. Negotiates his way into the zone now for Schwartz. And a quick backhander. Trying to surprise the goaltender Leonard, and we get a whistle.
Yeah, he had Jori Lehtera driving hard towards the net right there. But that's an easy play for the big goaltender Robin Leonard, the 23-year-old, to handle. Robin Leonard's got like, what, 100 fish tanks in his house.
100?
100 fish tanks. And he'd like, if he can, because he's got a pool, and he thinks the cold weather in Ottawa would be perfect, he wants a couple of penguins as well.
It's way too warm for penguins in Ottawa, Ontario.
I figured as much, too. I think he was reminded by somebody, they're not particularly nice.
Now it is Shattenkirk on this Blues power play along with Oshie. And the Senators get it back, and it's smacked down the ice by Greiba. Boy, a power play would really make it tough on an Ottawa club that played and lost last night in Detroit. As Carlson hammers that one right into the midsection of Pietrangelo.
Yeah, that hurt. Pietrangelo's going to stay out on the ice. It looked like it winded him a little bit.
And the puck put off the glass by Carlson. 35 left in the Turris Minor. Now the Blues to center ice. Here's Cole for Oshie. Nice pass into Backes. His pass a little bit too hot to handle for Oshie. And then Oshie back of the goal.
I think if Oshie had a lacrosse stick, though, that would be an easy pickup right there.
Or a fishing net.
Yeah, because that's a wicked wrister there from Backes.
And time running down on the power play. Sorloth and all, Backes takes a rest. Now Tarasenko comes in. His pass tipped at the line, Shattenkirk. And he is forced to center ice by Ceci.
I don't know why the Blues are so reluctant, JK, to fire the puck and establish that part of the game again.
Here's Lehtera, team's at full strength. Lehtera comes in a drive. And Leonard goes down and makes the stick save. Now Schwartz for Gunnarsson, look out, Shattenkirk. And an Ottawa player right there, that's MacArthur, right in front. And a goal-mouth feed, and that was a bit too high for Turris.
Yeah, a little heel-to-toe saucer pass, just a little too high, you're right.
And the puck to center ice. Blues recover. Lehtera drops it back for Gunnarsson as they complete their line change. Now on to Joachim Lindstrom. He'll dart by Wierkosh. Canceled there by Wierkosh. And then Berglund trying to hold it, and he can't. Ottawa the other way. Stone trying to get to the middle. He does. A shot pad. Saved there by Jake Allen. On in relief of Elliott. And now Cowan a drive. And he flutters that one wide. A bit of a changeup by Cowan. And yet Elliott left the game with 6:02 left in the second period with a lower body injury and will not return. Well, as the Blues are called for icing.
Well, for Jake Allen, he gets tested here with a beauty because Stone continues to impress. Little calmness there. Stutter step back to the middle of the ice. There was a time not long ago, John, when you're cutting back to that dangerous area of the ice, you're going to get drilled. But now, of course, so much more responsibility going to the hitter rather than the player that puts himself in a bad area or a dangerous area. But that Stone is impressive.
And off the face-off, a penalty called. I believe this one is against the Blues. Perhaps for holding the stick.
Been a lot of these kind of infractions in this game. Holding.
Number 9, St. Louis, Tunis, holding the stick.
Holding the stick is the call. Much to the chagrin of veteran coach Ken Hitchcock and his 671 wins. Here's Ott. He clearly has a hold of the stick of Legwand. It's the right call by the official. Mike Keenan is next on the list with 672 career wins.
So he will tie him with a win. As the Senators get their second power play. And a shot wide by Carlson. And that is off the leg of David Backes. So with a win, he'll pass Keenan. And not too far behind Pat Quinn at 684. And our sympathies to Pat Quinn's family. He passed away on Sunday at age 71. A longtime player, executive, and coach in the NHL.
And it was nice having Wayne Gretzky on our pregame show, and Wayne Gretzky showing so much respect for the late Pat Quinn.
Ottawa on the power play. Broken up by the Blues. Lapierre gets it near the line, not out. Carlson dangles by him. Pass across for Legwand. And then a drive by Carlson. Pad save there by Allen. Shattenkirk had dropped his stick, but he gets it. And now picked up and floated to center by Schwartz.
Well, there's not a chance in the world that Max Lapierre is going to be happy about that decision he had. He had plenty of time below the top of the circles, and he swats it back to the most dangerous player on the ice, Carlson, at the right point.
And now Bobby Ryan a shot. And a little trickler into the glove of Allen.
Yeah, the one thing about being shorthanded, you still have to show that calmness with the puck. I mean, just blindly backhanding it with not a whole lot on it. Max Lapierre knows better, and he's been around the game a long time, and he's been a very efficient penalty killer. But he gets the puck back and just swats it right there, and Carlson's not going to vacate the zone. And now once you do that, Carlson puts it right back to Legwand. Legwand likely should have fired that first one. He bought some time there that allowed the Blues to regroup and allowed the goaltender, Jake Allen, to regroup and get himself set for the Carlson wrister.
And now the Blues win a face-off and shoot it down the ice. 40 seconds left in Ott's minor. Here comes Carlson, the former Norris Trophy winner. Now to Hoffman. At the line, broken up, and Oshie away for the Blues with Berglund. Here they come, 2-on-2. Oshie toe drag. Now a shot. And that went high and into the netting.
Well, that's classic TJ Oshie right there. He's looking for Patrick Berglund, the big Swede, to drive hard. Berglund was slowed down a little bit, and by this time Oshie toe drags it once, brings it back to the forehand. Now he's got plenty of time, and he just missed this. I mean, this did not miss by much with that wicked wrister going high to the glove side on Robin Lehner.
And now the face-off controlled by Ottawa. After tonight, the Blues are off until Friday when they'll host Edmonton in a post-Thanksgiving night game. And then it's back on the road for 4 games. Now Turris out high to Wierkosh. He winds up to CC the drive. Pad save. Allen the rebound in front. And then taken by Backes and drilled off the boards and down the ice.
That was a good setup there certainly by the Ottawa Senators point man, and CC's got a wicked one-timer from that area.
And the Blues are back at full strength. 2 Ottawa shots, but now 0 for 2. Here's Laterra for Tarasenko. And then moved along for Butler. Puck played to the corner. That hit the referee. That's a break for the Blues. Schwartz to Tarasenko. A shot, and that was blocked. Right for the slot. Now Tarasenko again. And he fires it. Tipped wide off a stick. Schwartz with it. And on the cycle now for Laterra. And then Ian Cole. He's in a rather active game with a goal and 5 shots. In the slot, Laterra. And that's off his skate and then finally cleared away.
That's going to be icing.
Chiasson. And we will get the icing violation.
Yeah, we'll see if Paul McLean calls a timeout. He's got a pretty tired group of forwards out there. Chiasson, Turris, and Legwand. Well, for Jake Allen, in relief, in case you missed it, goaltender Brian Elliott has left the game. It happened in the second period. A collision in front of the net with Eric Condra going into him. So Elliott leaves the game. Jake Allen steps in and has done a nice job.
Sens win the faceoff. And here is Clark MacArthur. 8 goals on the year. Pushed along by Chiasson. All the way around, and now Backes at center ice. Look out, a hit there by Greeny. And now Colin Greeny gets it for the Senators. He comes in 2-on-2. That shot blocked by Pietrangelo. Trickles in on goal. And covered by Allen.
2 blocks in this period by Pietrangelo. That one stung him a little bit as well.
In a very difficult time for the late Pat Quinn, and our thoughts and prayers for his family.
Joel Goldberg with the Bommarito Auto Group Sports Update as we look at Dallas and Edmonton. Whoops. John Klingberg from beyond the blue line, 1-0. And then after that, that's a bad goal. Dallas would retaliate. Or pardon me, Edmonton would retaliate. Shorthanded, 30 seconds left in the first. Boyd Gordon scores it, but Dallas is leading after 2 periods, 3-1. Guys?
As the struggles of the Oilers continue, Joel Goldberg, thank you very much. Now Steen on for Oshie. 12:45 to go in the third period. Blues trying to win their third in a row. And Carlson away for Ottawa. He gains the line, drop pass. Now Lazar. That's broken up down low. Shattenkirk to his partner Gunnarsson. Long stretch pass for Steen. He is offside. I think he had the puck. You can go in backwards if you have the puck.
And he skated in backwards. Yeah, I agree with you. And Alexander Steen's thinking the same thing as well. A good stretch pass there from the blue zone off the boards. One hand on his stick. There's a pass by Gunnarsson. And he's backhand. And he looked, from my angle anyway, it looked like he had very good control of the puck skating backwards.
Face-off won by the Blues. Butler. And around to Reeves. Reeves on and Lapierre. This line is chipped in with another goal tonight, as they were on the ice when Ian Cole scored. Now back Rierkosh. And then for Greiba. And they score into the top corner. And it's 2-1.
Well, halt some of that momentum from that fourth line of the St. Louis Blues, and now a quick line change, and Ken Hitchcock will throw out the Lehtera, Schwartz, and Tarasenko line. And the Ottawa Senators on back-to-back nights very much alive in this game. Rierkosh goes back to his partner Greiba. Greiba had that fight with Ryan Reeves in the second period, and his shot, he buys some time. Lapierre gets out of the shooting lane. He kind of slides out of the shooting lane, and it allows Greiba to pull it back into his body and have a freer lane for that shot. And Condra, who's been real good in this game, especially while shorthanded, gets that redirection, which was perfectly placed up over the shoulder.
So the Notre Dame Fighting Irish well represented tonight by Ian Cole with a goal, and now Condra with a goal. And it's 2-1. The goal at 7:55. As Greiba takes the shot, it's tipped high. Allen had no chance.
That's how important that power play was to begin the second period. In a 2-0 game, you can take the heart and the will away from a team, especially on back-to-back nights. I mean, Ken Hitchcock's looking at that power play, I'm sure. They didn't want the Blues players on the ice, were reluctant to shoot the puck. And Paul McLean's group now regroups, has a good penalty kill, and gets themselves back in the game.
Condra gets it from Greiba and Rierkosh at 7:55. Both the Blues and Ottawa have scored 21 goals this year in the third period. The most productive period for both clubs. Now Pietrangelo from the wing, a shot, a floating shot, right into the midsection of Leonard.
Too easy of a play there for the goaltender to shut that one down. Face-off would be to the right. And after a quick shift there, the STL line goes off. Offensive zone face-off here, and Hitchcock throws on Stastny, Backus, and Lindstrom.
And the face-off controlled by Ottawa. And here comes Jared Cowan. And another penalty called on the Blues. And this one, the hold by somebody on that rush.
Well, an offensive zone face-off.
Number 10, St. Louis. 2 minutes. Holding the stick.
Holding the stick ends up being a back-checking situation, and Lindstrom puts his free hand on the stick. So now we've seen back-to-back holding of the stick. You see on the right side right there. Oh, sorry about that. I've got an arrow going on there. It's a big arrow. John, in case you didn't see that, really big arrow.
You probably wanted the circle there, right?
I probably did.
Ottawa on the power play, 0 for 2 tonight. As Lindstrom goes for holding a stick, Pietrangelo up the middle, kept in by Carlson. That's blocked by Steen and now cleared away by Steen. What a play there. And now Steen gets it at center and he'll blast it in on goal. And that's handled by Leonard. Under 11 to play in regulation. Ottawa down by 1 on the power play. Here's Legwand, the longtime Predator. That's played around to Ryan. Worked over by Berglund. Good stick there by Oshie. And now Turris to the back.
Oh, good read by
Broken up by Oshie. And Carlson, you won't win many foot races against that guy. And now the Blues make some changes to their penalty killing unit. Carlson ahead. Here comes Ryan, dropped off. Carlson with it. Across to MacArthur. And a shot tipped on goal by Turris and a save by Allen. That was a nice play. And now they work it across to Legwand. Bobby Ryan's parked in front of Allen. Now Legwand with 45 to go in the power play. Pass back, Carlson. The shot hit the goal post. That was off the glove, maybe, and then on the goal post. And that was close.
Yeah, just got enough of that cheater part of the glove to knock it a little bit wide.
And also post, Aaron?
From my angle, I didn't think so.
2-on-1 here. Lapierre and Ott. Lapierre and Ott. And that was just between his stick and his skates. And MacArthur back to center ice. Drops it off. Carlson shot. And that's tipped into the netting. And a whistle.
Delayed play there by MacArthur. He's looking for the tricky Carlson. Carlson's little wrist shot just gets redirected here. And 2-on-1 going the other way. And Steve Ott ends up driving hard to the net on Leonard, but the puck never ends up getting to him right there. Lapierre has the puck, and he tries to make a pass over there, but it's far beyond the play there of Ott.
Ottawa off the face-off. A pass off a skate. Back to Ceci. That pass blocked by Backus. And he'll kill some more time, and that should just about do it as Lindstrom gets set to return. Ottawa 2 shots on the power play, but now 0 for 3. And the Blues maintain their 1-goal lead. As Ceci comes in, knocked away by Jack, but it goes out of play, and it was tipped. So no delay of game. Nice penalty kill by the Blues. After the goal by Condra, cuts the lead to 2-1.
Well, certainly the Ott line with Lapierre and Reeves is part of our Jim Butler Chevrolet.com powerhouse plays, and why wouldn't they be? Been a physical sort that continue their offense. Big fight here after this situation there with Gryba. Reeves steps in, even though it was Gryba and Lapierre. Reeves does what he does best, sticks up for his teammates. Drive hard there on the penalty kill.
And 9:15 left. Blues goals from Cole and Steen Condra, as Ottawa's only tally tonight. And Laterra wins the faceoff from Smith. Now Butler ahead. That was cut off before it got to Schwartz. And then coming in is the rookie Hoffman. That shot hit a stick, goes wide. Blues come back to center. And another odd man rush. Tarasenko, Laterra. Tarasenko comes in. The drive and a save by Leonard. And then Laterra back on the goal. Trying to center one. That was tipped away. And the Blues have to track it back at their own line. Another odd man rush for the Blues. Hoffman knocked Cole down. And that's going to get called a cross check. And Cole comes in there, but now he takes a shot. He should stay away. I know it's easy to say from here because you're going to get a power play, but he's upset.
Cole, the left-hand shot, is cutting back in around the boards. Hoffman's got some speed. He's going in there and gives him a little nudge from behind. You can see Cole there. There's the cross-check from behind. The referee's immediately behind, so he sees it. And just before that, you see that Hoffman gave him a little cross-check from the back on the play before that. Referee's back to the right taking a look at that sequence. And there was no calls on that play, which was about, maybe 30 seconds before this one here. So Mike Hoffman gets the call, and again, Paul McLean showing his displeasure with the officiating. Shots on goal, 24-23. And McLean's Ottawa Senators have not gone away in this game. Back-to-back nights don't usually end up well for the second game. But they've played hard. They've played well in this game.
Darren, they have not lost a game this year by more than 2 goals. So they're in every game. Blues are 1 for 5 tonight.
Yeah, they stick around. They're resilient.
So a huge power play opportunity here for the Blues. Leading by a goal. Shattenkirk now on to Stastny. In for Backes, the Blues power play goal leader with 5. Oshie sends it to the line, but Steen was on the other side, and that's a break for Ottawa.
Yeah, just a lack of cohesion right there. Steen was thinking that puck was going to stay on his half of the ice. That's why he was in the middle.
Now Steen up the middle. Pass on the wing to Shattenkirk. Little foot pass to Stastny. Back to the line to Shattenkirk. Nice entry there by the Blues. Now played on to Tarasenko. And a shot and a blocker save there by Leonard. Comes around to Steen. And that pass picked off, and the Senators thinking shorthanded goal. And here's MacArthur up the middle, and a good stick by Shattenkirk to knock it away.
Yeah. One good whack at it without doing too much, without getting his stick in the hands to nullify this power play. Good defensive play.
Blues back in, drop pass for Tarasenko. 50 left in the power play. Schwartz wiggles away from his man. Then Carlson knocked him down. Laterra comes in. Now Schwartz gets back up and makes a good play back for Cole. Cole across to Pietrangelo. On the outside now for Laterra. And then Cole had it roll on him, and that's another tough break for the Blues.
It never laid flat to begin with that pass from Laterra. It was kind of bobbling right off the hop.
And then his pass is picked off and then sent down the ice. Then on goal with 20 seconds left in Mike Hoffman's minor. Under 7 to play, third period. Pietrangelo now in for Steen. Gets away from his man. And across to Lindstrom. And he waits at the line to Berglund. Now Berglund, little stutter step move. Spins around now for Steen. Look out here. Hoffman out of the box. And he tried to sneak behind the Blues defense. No shots there for the Blues in the power play.
Back-to-back power plays with little going.
And Condra comes back in for Ottawa. Smith to the corner. Hoffman. He's rubbed out by Gunnarsson. Puck back of the line. Cowan keeps it alive. And now grabbed by Gunnarsson to Lindstrom. Back to Shattenkirk. And his pass up the middle. That was intended for Stastny. Off the mark, and an icing call here against the Blues.
Shattenkirk looking for that little stretch pass with the little chip at the red line. And didn't get it. It didn't hit anybody. For the Blues, the good news, the face-off to the right, which means they've got one of their key guys on the dot. Right-hand shot, David Backes, who is right around 54% this year.
And he wins it from Lazar. Blues close to 60% tonight. And there's another pass off the mark. And yet another icing call.
I think this face-off now will be on the opposite side. So we were just telling you that because the face-off's on the right, you've got a right-hand shot, which is David Backes. Now it's on the left-hand shot, and here's the advantage of having Stastny now on the ice.
And you also have Ott on the wing, and he's very good in the circle, especially that left circle.
Yeah, Stastny's 54.5% this year.
And he wins that one from Leibwan. Puck played back to the Blues goal. Shattenkirk, and that bounces to center ice, and now the Blues can get that much-needed change. Roosevelt shut the Senators 25-24 and lead 2-1. Jake Allen goes to play this one, almost gave it away there. Now Greening back of the goal for Neal, and then back to Greening. Here's Ceci out high. No play, so he plays one for Neal. And the longtime Senator in the slot, and a shot by Greening goes wide. Ceci whips it through the goal crease. Cowan a drive, and a save by Allen. And then Ceci in the corner, worked over by Schwartz. Look out here, Pietrangelo in the slot, can't move it away. And now Leibwan a drive, blocked by Pietrangelo. And it finally is taken by Shattenkirk, now to center ice for Pietrangelo. To the Ottawa line, look out, he's buried on a high legal hit by Cowan.
That's the area of the ice. You got to get that puck in deep. Certainly your defenseman, you're expecting easy ice right there. Ottawa holds the line very well. It was a good play by Cowan.
And now Tarasenko, he'll jab one into the zone with 4:44 to go in regulation time. And the Blues nursing a 1-goal lead. Thrown in deep by Turris. Ian Cole, the first man back. Around the boards, cut off. And a good defensive play there by Berglund, stepping in front of Turris. And Steen across the red line. He'll throw it to the corner. Steen against Wierkoch. And Wierkoch wins that battle. Senators head up the ice. Carlson thinking offense here. And a drive blocked by Gunnarsson. And that's up high and out of play. The Blues up by 1 with 4:10 left in regulation.
That's got a potential future Blues goalie written all over it with all that hair right there. There's no doubt. I'll lend him some of my old pads there. Here's our Nissan.com checks of the game. And it's been a physical one in this contest. Scrums after every whistle. Good hit there by Shattenkirk on Zach Smith. Greening actually took a retaliatory penalty after that big fight there. Ryan Reeves and Gryba. Wow.
It has been a man's game tonight here in St. Louis. Blues win the faceoff with a 2-1 lead. Jackman to Backes. Kept in by Turris. And then Chase on a drive. And that was maybe off the Ottawa player in front.
Too close for comfort, that kind of play.
Yeah, that could hit anybody and go in the net. I think it hit MacArthur and now dumped in by Ott.
Yeah, and also Barrett Jackman behind there.
And Ceci a feed up the middle for Turris. Here's MacArthur in the slot. Quick shot. And again, it hit traffic in front. Stastny back to the goal. Can't get it. MacArthur now to Carlson. Winds up, drive on goal. Right pad saved by Allen. And then Carlson again. His shot blocked by Ott. What a play. And steered to center ice. And now Ceci is watched by Backes.
Ceci, he beat Backes one way, and then he decided to go back right towards where Backes was.
He wanted to beat him again. And Ottawa setting up deep in its own zone. Carlson with 3:10 left in the third. Now Smith to center ice. That's too far for Hoffman. Pietrangelo out of the corner. Nice play for Schwartz. And a backhand feed to center ice. And then grabbed by Jackman. And Robin Lehner sets it up back of the goal. Kellen reverses. And then Gryba to Smith off the boards for Ryan. Trying to go around Jackman. Ryan's pass tipped away in the slot by Pietrangelo. Kellen drops it off. Smith shot. Off something in the slot. Steered around by Jackman. And this rolls back into Ottawa ice. 2.5 to go. Leonard could be pulled at any point here with the Sens down by 1. Tipped down the ice by Greening. He was on the offensive side of center, so no icing. Oshie at the line. Gets it to center. Now pushed along by Berglund. And here he comes, a shot off the back of the goal. And Stone with it. And then Greening now onto Wierkoch. Here come the Senators. And a wrist shot, a harmless one by Lazar off the target. Steen back defending for the Blues. In the slot, Berglund. Played off the boards to Oshie. Don't forget, Missouri Lottery Blues Live comes up next as the Blues are called for icing.
Well, Carlson's generally a very fast skater, but he threw that one in first gear. But here's a great play by Jake Allen, the goaltender. Instead of covering that up, he plays it out there to Pietrangelo. It gets the Blues out of harm's way with 3 minutes to go in the game. Then a good save with the right pad there against Carlson. Carlson gets this one through. He's had a couple of shots redirected by the Blues defenseman earlier on the rush, but that one there deflects off the Blues stick, and there's the right pad saved by the goaltender. And we take a look at our Plaza Tire Service shot comparison tonight. Erik Karlsson now with 9 total attempts on net, and Alex Pietrangelo with 6 complete shots and 8 total attempts on goaltender Robin Lehner.
And the Blues have called their timeout here. And I would think there's a decent chance McLean will pull the goaltender with 1:47 left.
Well, but the players on the ice for the Blues, there's not a whole lot going on there with Kirk Muller and Ken Hitchcock. They're just letting them get a little bit of rest right there. And then for Robin Lehner, he doesn't appear to be heading back in, does he?
This is quite to be in a hurry to get back in the net now.
Quite a delay, and he doesn't even know he's going to head back out there as a. And now the referees are looking at who was on the ice before that stoppage. Counts out the players, just make sure.
So the goalie off with 1:47 to go, and the Blues up 2-1. Turris will take it against Patrick Berglund. It is Turris, Chiasson, MacArthur, Ryan up front. Senators get it back to Karlsson. Karlsson, a shot off the goal post. And the rebound is shot wide by Chiasson. That hit the post. On a redirection in front. And 5 players battle for it. Shattenkirk pushing everybody over. Puck to the line now to Karlsson. He waits. Karlsson, a shot tipped again by MacArthur. Man, they've had a lot of these tip plays in the third period. Pass across to Ryan, a drive. Allen got over and made the save on Bobby Ryan.
Just the play Ottawa was looking for, a seam play. One of the few chances that hasn't been generated from the stick of Erik Karlsson on the point. And this one here with Bobby Ryan, who against the Blues has 15 goals in 21 career games. Dot-to-dot pass, good sequence. Gunnarsson's able to go down, allows the goaltender to get in position. Face-off win there by the Ottawa Senators results in this quick little wrister by Karlsson and redirected off the post. I had a real good look at that one there. With the goaltender down, it gets redirected high over his glove off the post and out of play. Give Allen a lot of credit for just his preparation. When you sit on that bench and you're not playing, and I've been there before, you don't prepare the same way as you would when you're starting a game. And when you see your teammate and your goaltender go down, then it's an automatic, boy, I better get myself ready right now. And then you got to jump into the net, and he's been good. That's a break, no question about that. But Allen has been strong.
And now Ottawa with its timeout. Still plenty of time left, 1:18. And again, 6 attackers for the visiting Senators. Backes will take it here for the Blues.
Well, the face-off, obviously David Backes is looking for that puck to be down in that area right here. And then you could get a reverse hard around the boards and out of the zone.
It is Backes against Turris. Every face-off critical at this juncture. Steen moved on the wing along with Chiasson.
The referee's telling Steen and Chiasson to settle down over there.
And they'll dig in again. And the face-off controlled by Turris. Back to Karlsson. Karlsson, there's that high tip play. Blocked by Pietrangelo. Empty net here for Steen, but he won't take a shot. Doesn't want to take a chance of the icing violation. And the captain Karlsson back to get it. With exactly a minute left in the third. Now MacArthur in for Turris. Turris waits at a shot. And a pad save by Allen. Jackman, he broke his stick. That was a tough break. Jackman just broke his stick. Steen with it. Not out. Hoffman gets it. A shot, they score! It got through Allen and somebody knocked it in and we have a tie game.
Well, some brutally horrendous luck there. Barrett Jackman's got the puck on his stick in the corner, and it must have been weakened by either a shot block earlier or a whack on the shaft there. It looks like he's got an easy out of the zone anyway off the glass, but his stick snaps in half. Puck ends up still at this point. I thought that Steen had a chance to get that puck out, but he was stripped of the puck, stick lifted, and the never say die Ottawa Senators bounce back. Hoffman's shot hits a leg first, and then it's loose underneath the goaltender. Kyle Turris is there, and he can't get a hold of it. Bobby Ryan there as well.
I thought Turris was the one that knocked it in. We'll wait for the announcement. The goal at 19-19.
It looked then like his blade got maybe smothered or stopped by one of the Blues' gloves, it looked like.
Either way, it's 2-2. And the Blues with the puck. Gunnarsson to center ice. Blues can't get it deep. And now Stone to Greeny. Return feed to Stone. Little backhander hit the back of the goal. 10 seconds left. Senators get it out high. Smith to Cowan. He waits. Gryba to Greening. That shot blocked. And we will go to overtime. So the late goal at 19-19. And we will have a brief timeout and then 4-on-4 of overtime hockey. JimButlerChevrolet.com presents our overtime records. And the Blues so far this year, 3-1 in OT. Ottawa 2-4. As the Senators score with 41 seconds left. And they're going to give the goal to Chiasson.
Yeah, there's no question that the former Dallas Star, Chiasson, gets it, because you keep your eye on Turris. It's through him. Turris goes to reach in. It's the glove of Jake Allen that stops Turris, but the backhander of Chiasson that knocks it in the net. You give the Ottawa Senators a ton of credit in this hockey game, John. And for the St. Louis Blues, they're going to kick themselves right in the rear end for letting this one squeak away. 2 power play opportunities while the game was 2-0, and they had 0 shots on goal. They just didn't have that killer instinct to get this game taken away from a team that played last night. They would have taken the will away from them. This game goes 3-0. Instead, Ottawa felt like they had some life in them. And the Blues backed off, allowing Ottawa to gain control and get some good chances.
So 4-on-4 overtime as the team switch ends. And a new rule, no more dry scrape after 60 minutes.
Nope, the shovels came out. Quicker process for sure.
Now MacArthur with it. Back for Wierkosh. And a drive hit a body, goes into the netting. And we get a whistle.
Well, the defensemen of the Ottawa Senators certainly are getting plenty of time at the points. I mean, a lot of these wristers, which I had mentioned in that second period, that they're getting a lot of chances that they look innocent enough, but they become dangerous opportunities. Certainly the Turris-MacArthur line with Chiasson has played a very, very strong game. There's a lot of determination between the youngsters, Carlson, Turris, in this third period.
Earlier this year, Ottawa came back, went down by 2 goals and beat Colorado. Trying to do the same thing tonight against the Blues. And Shattenkirk reverses now for Gunnarsson. Now on to Steen. He scored the Blues' second goal. He comes in. Thought about shooting. Chased out high by Ceci, and then a pass block. And Greening for Ottawa. Smith into Ceci. And his shot, well wide of the goal. Comes around. Steen is pinned there by Cowan. Of course, Ceci beat the Blues with an overtime winner last year in Ottawa.
A shot from the point where a lot of the offense derives from Ottawa.
Shattenkirk a drive and a pad save there by Robin Lehner, and a hard shot by Shattenkirk. With 3.5 to play in overtime. And Hoffman goes for a skate deep in his own zone. Chased back again by Oshie. Now for Carlson. And his stretch pass. In for Hoffman. Drop pass. Wierkosh checked there by Oshie. With a great poke shot. Here he comes. Oshie with Berglund. And he can't walk around Bobby Ryan. And Ottawa thinking offense here. Mike Hoffman comes in, trying to cut to the slot. One-timer off the goalpost. As Ryan had Allen beaten, and that hit the goalpost.
Got a couple of prime scoring chances this game, Bobby Ryan has.
And now Lazar back. He protects the puck from Oshie. And Ceci with 2:37 left in OT. That's about the third post the Sens have hit tonight. Now Lazar down the wall. Steered back to the goal by Shattenkirk. And then the puck taken by Shattenkirk. Now in front though, look out, Ceci with it. A drive blocked by Backes. And chipped to center ice by Stastny. And then Backes lost it. Look out here. Turris in. And a glove save by Allen. A game-saving glove save there.
What a beauty.
And Backes to center ice. He gets by a man. Drop pass. Stastny to Pietrangelo. Fires it high. Hit the glass. And now Stastny again. To the line to Jackman. Pass in for Jori Lehtera. Here's Lehtera. In OT to Jackman. Now for Pietrangelo. His shot. And that goes wide of the goal. And around to Lehtera. He goes for a high skate. Here he comes, Lehtera. Circles the wagons. Wraparound. And it's saved by Lehner on a heck of a play by Lehtera.
Protects the puck well. Puck out in front of him. Goes around. Looks like he was going to pass it. Head up all the way. and then trying to catch the goaltender off guard there, but Leonard gets his left pad on it nicely. Good effort there by Jori Lehtera. And here's that wicked snapshot there of Kyle Turris. He let her fly, and a great glove save there by Jake Allen. Wonderful reaction save there.
90 seconds left in overtime. It will be Lehtera against Smith. Lehtera, Tarasenko up front. And the face-off now controlled by the Senators. MacArthur back with a goal. Here's Wiercauch, a pass for Smith. And then moved in by MacArthur. He pulls up to make a play. In for Karlsson. Karlsson lost the handle, and it's grabbed by Jori Lehtera. Center ice to Tarasenko. He cuts in. Lehtera follows up, down to Tarasenko. Drop pass, Shattenkirk in on goal. A shot and a save there by Leonard up high.
Yeah, good drop pass there by Tarasenko. Tarasenko and Lehtera. That puck looked like it climbed from his chest protector up underneath the plastic throat guard. Backhand pass from Tarasenko. Shattenkirk jumps in here, and we'll see where it ends up as, yeah, it just climbs right up there, right above the center note, and he's got it squeezed between his mask and the V-neck of his sweater.
59.7 left. Schwartz and Steen up front for the Blues. Puck back of the goal. Schwartz after it. Against Ceci, puck in front. Oh, Steen had it but lost it. And now Ryan back deep in his own zone. Ryan heads up ice for Ottawa. And a backhander. That was tipped by Pietrangelo wide. And then Karlsson on the wing to Ryan's shot. Maybe off Turris and wide of the goal. And now Turris again. Great stick by Pietrangelo, and the Blues at 3-on-2. Here in overtime, Pietrangelo comes in, shoots it wide of the net. And that's a bad break, and the Senators to center. Look out, 2-on-1. Turris, great stick by Jackman. And now the Blues have numbers the other way. It's Schwartz and Steen. To Steen, and a diving play by Ryan to break it up. Now Jackman to Steen, in front of drive. Scooped up by Leonard, and no further play.
Oh, end-to-end action here. End-to-end. A 3-on-1 going one way. Pietrangelo misses the net on the short side. It goes the other way. Barrett Jackman cleanly picks off this play. And then Schwartz ends up feeding it up high right there to Alexander Steen. First one missed, the second one back on the tape. Good save by Robin Leonard. Makes the save and then juggles it and grabs it after that. Well, 4.2 seconds. One last push to create a scoring chance. Obviously, the left-hander Lehtera has got his buddy Tarasenko right behind him. So Tarasenko right here, and that's about all the time you'd have.
It'll be Lehtera against Smith. .2 left. Smith must get a stick down first. Oh, Lehtera won it too cleanly, and we're going to go to a shootout.
But the score is still tied after 65.
Well, the shootout is next. It's brought to you by JimButlerChevrolet.com. Jim Butler is the Chevy powerhouse. And tonight's goalie career shootout numbers are presented by JimButlerChevrolet.com.
Well, Jake Allen has only faced two on the shootout right there, and he's got 0 goals against. You look at Robin Leonard, 43 shots faced, has allowed 17, 67%. But one of the big part of this is obviously they've taken away the dry scrape with the Zambonis. They've added shovels. Now this area here, right here, used to be shoveled right through the middle of the ice. So that used to be shoveled, and for a guy like TJ Oshie, the first time he had the shootout this year, it caught him a little by surprise. That puck bobbled on him. See if he changed his plan of attack.
The Blues 2-1 in the shootout. Ottawa 1-2. So TJ Oshie, the first shooter against Leonard, rather casually. And a save by Leonard.
Leonard looked like a street hockey goalie there. He's just going to give him 5-hole, hunch over, and put his stick right in the middle. Watch his 5-hole there. His stick's above the ice. Oshie likes going 5-hole it. Now, that looks like a midget AA save right there, but it worked.
Turris had the shootout winner last year in this building in a 5-4 Ottawa win. So it's Kyle Turris against Jake Allen. And the shot is saved by Allen.
Trying to squeeze that right between the blocker and the side of the body. A lot of times, Turris, like many right-hand shots, like to wait for as long as they can, show patience, and see if the goalie's glove will drop down. Maybe the position of Jake Allen's glove being cocked in that position shied Turris away from it.
Steen 44% in his career.
He loves that big forehand backhand between the legs move too.
Swede against Swede here. Alexander Steen in quickly, fakes it, and a save by Leonard. He tried to go to the backhand.
Had him beat. All he had to do was buy a little time and elevate that puck. He just tried to slide it in there. It was a good first move by Steen. I mean, the key is who makes the first move. And Steen makes a great little move there. And if he maybe waits for a split second more and just elevates it, he's got him beat because that pad, there's no way he can lift up that pad.
Mike Hoffman's first ever shootout attempt. The goalies have been perfect thus far in the shootout. He is Ottawa's second shooter. Hoffman goes wide, and a drive, and a save by Allen.
Allen looked behind him. As a left-hand shot, Hoffman cuts back towards the middle, waiting to see if Jake Allen will open up the 5-hole. The great Mario Lemieux used to say, open up the garage door. And here you can see he goes backhand, forehand, and seeing if there was anything opened up. Jake Allen looks behind him at the end here, but he's able to keep it out.
Tarasenko. He had the Blues shootout win in their last shootout victory against the Rangers back on November 3rd. Scoreless so far. Tarasenko in. And a save by Robin Leonard.
Well, they sure are trying to peck away on this 5-hole of Robin Leonard. A lot of times Tarasenko brings that to his feet and rips it to the stick side. And here he's got his head up all the way, and he's just looking at that spot. He's actually, is he trying to go that low under the glove side?
So the Blues killer Bobby Ryan could win it. The Senators' third shooter. Ryan comes in, and he scores. And Ryan wins it for Ottawa.
Well, a pretty gutsy comeback win by the Ottawa Senators on the road, scoring 2 goals in the third period. But the St. Louis Blues are going to be one sour group of campers in that locker room after this one. They clearly let this one slip away from underneath them in this game, leading 2-0 after 40 minutes of play. Our Bud Light player of the game is young defenseman Ian Cole, the former first-rounder. Had 5 shots, he had 1 goal, playing almost 17 minutes, 4 blocks in this game, and his first goal of the season. Joel and Bernie, upstairs to you in the Fox Box.